Are you one of the many people staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m.? You've probably tried it all. The warm milk, counting sheep, maybe even a lavender spray, and still nothing. Well, you're in the right place. We're going to go way beyond the quick fixes and dive into a real, evidence-based program that's all about retraining your brain to finally get some solid sleep. You know how it is. You have a terrible night's sleep, and your first thought the next day is damage control. You sleep in, you grab a long nap, you decide to go to bed super early to catch up. But here's the crazy part. What if those very things you're doing to fix the problem are actually the fuel keeping your insomnia going night after night? I mean, look at this list. These all seem so logical, don't they? If you're tired, you should try to get more sleep. But this is the big trap. Every single one of these cures actually makes your body's natural sleep system weaker. For example, when you lie in bed worrying about not sleeping, you're not resting. You're literally training your brain that your bed is a place for anxiety. So, how do we get out of this loop? We've got a solid 5-part game plan. First, we'll break down the insomnia trap. Then, we'll get into the 2 biological pillars that control your sleep. From there, we'll cover 6 powerful rules to retrain your brain. Then we'll do a little math to calculate your perfect sleep window. And finally, we'll talk about the essential habits that make it all stick. All right, first up, the insomnia trap. This is really the heart of the problem. It's that frustrating, upside-down world where our common sense, our instincts about what to do after a bad night are almost always the exact wrong things to do. And here's the key insight. For most people, persistent insomnia isn't just something that happens to you, it's a behavioral problem. As the source material says, your habits and your attitude play crucial and deciding roles. And you know what? That is fantastic news, because it means the power to fix your sleep is actually in your hands. Okay, so to change our habits, we first need to understand the why behind it all. Why does this stuff work? Well, it all comes down to 2 fundamental biological pillars that our bodies depend on day in and day out. So here they are, the 2 keys to the kingdom. First, you've got your sleep drive. Think of it like hunger. The longer you go without eating, the hungrier you get. Same with sleep. The longer you're awake, the stronger that drive becomes. The second is your body clock, which is your internal 24-hour schedule. Now, think about those fixes from before. Taking a nap? That's like having a snack right before dinner. It kills your sleep drive. Sleeping in? That just throws your body clock into total chaos. For great sleep, you need both of these pillars to be strong. Here's a really helpful way to think about that sleep drive. It's your daily sleep budget. See, you only have a certain amount of sleep you need in a 24-hour period. If you nap, you're basically spending some of that budget during the day. That means when it's time for bed, you've got less sleep currency left in your account, which makes it way harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. Okay, so now we get the why. Let's get to the how. The way we fix those 2 pillars is by adopting a new playbook, one with 6 core rules. These are the specific strategies designed to crank up your sleep drive and lock in your body clock. These 6 rules are the foundation. Number 1, a standard rising time. This is non-negotiable, even on weekends. It's the anchor for your body clock. 2, your bed is for sleep and sleep only. This rewires your brain's association. 3 is huge. If you're not sleeping, get out of bed. Stop teaching your brain that bed is a place for frustration. 4 and 5 directly protect our pillars. No worrying in bed and absolutely no napping. Save that whole sleep budget for the night. And finally, Rule 6, which is a big one we'll get into, is all about matching your time in bed to how much you actually sleep. All right, this is where the program gets really personalized. Instead of just guessing how much sleep you need, we're going to use a simple formula to figure out the exact amount of time you should be spending in your bed each night. To do this, you first need a number called your average total sleep time, or ATST. Now, this is really important. It's not how long you're lying in bed, it's the time you are actually truly asleep. You'll figure this out by keeping a sleep diary for a week or 2. And that gap between time in bed and time asleep, for people with insomnia, it's often way bigger than you think. And the solution is this simple formula. Your new time in bed is your average total sleep time plus just 30 minutes. Yeah, you heard me right. You are probably going to be spending less time in bed. I know, it sounds totally crazy, but the goal here is to consolidate your sleep. By squeezing your sleep window, you build up a massive sleep drive, so the time you do spend in bed is solid, deep sleep. So let's look at a real-world example. This person was in bed for almost 8.5 hours,
but they were only sleeping for about 6 hours and 15 minutes. That is over 2 hours a night just tossing and turning and being frustrated. So we apply the formula, their actual sleep time plus 30 minutes. Their new target for time in bed is just 6 hours and 45 minutes. This temporary squeeze is what forces your body to sleep more deeply.
Okay, and last but not least, let's talk about the supporting cast. Think of the 6 rules and your sleep window as the stars of the show. These essential sleep hygiene habits, they're the crew that makes sure the whole production is a success.
You've probably heard of these before, but now they'll make more sense. Cutting off caffeine is a no-brainer. It's a stimulant that fights your sleep drive. Alcohol might trick you into falling asleep faster, but it shatters your sleep quality later in the night. And keeping your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet isn't just about being comfortable. It's about removing every possible excuse for your brain to wake up while you're trying to retrain it.
So what's the goal? How do you know if all this is actually working? Well, it all boils down to one simple number, 85%. This is the magic number, the target you're aiming for. That number represents your sleep efficiency. It's basically the percentage of time you're in bed that you are actually sleeping. You just divide your total sleep time by your time in bed. When that number is consistently hitting 85% or higher, that's a huge sign that the program is working. You're getting solid, efficient sleep. It's your new report card for sleep.
So here's the big takeaway from all of this. You can't force yourself to sleep. It just doesn't work. But what you can do is train for it. By building up that sleep drive and locking in your body clock with these rules, you're no longer fighting for sleep every night. You're creating the perfect conditions for it to just happen. So the only question left is, are you ready to start training?